Hello everyone. This video is a presentation of the syllabi for Social Work 208. What I will be doing is going over the syllabi for this course assignment for Human Behavior and Social Environment 2. As you look at the syllabus, highlighted in yellow under Charleston is my contact information in which you can reach me. Also below that, you will find that there is my contact information to include my office hours and time that students can contact me should they have any questions. Also feel free to contact me by my cell, which is area code 843-345-2224, and just leave me a message and I will respond to your call as soon as possible to answer any questions that you may have. Below that is the required text for this particular course. Please ensure that you have a textbook for this course. It is very difficult to complete this course without a textbook. As we move further down the syllabus on page 2, there is an area that looks at the course learning objectives, in which for this particular course, students must complete a pre and post test. Pre-test at the beginning and a post-test at the end. You have discussions that you have to complete. And in this course, you have to also complete a biopsychosocial spirituality assessment on an elderly person and someone different from your ethnicity. So please make sure that you follow those requirements in completing the course syllabus. In other words, if you are a Afro-American, then you can do a biopsychosocial assessment on an elderly individual who is Hispanic, Caucasian, what have you. As we look at the methodology section of the syllabi, it gives you an idea of what's the requirement in this course. In other words, each student will prepare a 5 to 7 page APA 6th edition formatted biopsychosocial spirituality assessment. The paper must contain a minimum of 5 peer-reviewed research articles from a peer-reviewed journal, book, article, or report. In other words, you can use your textbook for this assignment. It also talks about the requirement for the course, for this assignment. In other words, this paper will explore the social, biological, psychological, and spiritual influences on an elderly and an ethnicity/race group other than your aunt. The paper will thoroughly explore all aspects of the elderly population, addressing the well-being, wealth, health, happiness/sadness, level of respect, level of involvement with family/other members. Students will incorporate theories of aging that applies to this interviewee. In other words, take someone of my age. When you look at Erickson, you will find that I am in the 7th stage of Erickson's stages of development. And what that means is that I am old enough to be retired, but yet I'm still working. Also, as far as educational goals, they have already been met for me at this age. So what I'm trying to say to you is you want to look at the stages of development based on the age the person is and link that to either Erickson or Piaget. I recommend that each student explore the Erickson stages of development in more detail. You'll find that it fits more when you look at stages of development in an individual life. Okay, based solely on the research, discuss why or why not you would like or would not like to be an elderly in this group. In other words, it's basically looking at this population and saying, do you agree with this population? If you agree, state why. If not, then you can state why also. The paper will consist of a title page, an abstract page, text, and references page. So in other words, if you're doing 5 pages, you should have generally 8 pages when you look at the title, abstract, and reference. So just be mindful of that. When you look at the APA format style, the abstract is an automatic part of the APA writing style. As we move further down on the syllabus, let's discuss the reflection paper. It says that students will prepare 1 to 2 page paper discussing the process of writing this paper. You should also be discussing how classroom and experiential learning impact your writing process. You should be discussing, and not limited to include, basically what was most difficult. Was the writing lab useful in your help? Also, students should also discuss what they are most proud of regarding this paper. In other words, what did you like about this paper through this process? This assignment also covers an informal writing assignment where students will be asked to respond to participation in the discussion on Blackboard. So just be mindful that you have an informal writing assignment that you also have to respond to. As we move further down, when we look at the grading criteria for this particular course, you'll find that it carries a midterm, which starts on September, which is due on September the 21st, which is worth 25% of your grade. You have a final paper that you have to do, which is the 19th of October, the last day of class, which is 25%. Your BiPsych Social Spirituality Assessment is due on the 12th of October, which is 20% of your grade. So right there, you see that those 3 assignments carry a 70% of your total grade. So it's very important that you do very well in those 3 particular assignments. Discussion assignment and informal basically is an ongoing process throughout the whole 8 weeks, which is worth 20% of your grade. And you have a reflective paper writing that you have to do, which is 10%. So if you do all the discussion in detail and meet all the requirements, and you do the reflection paper and meet all the questions that asked of you, that's 30% of your grade right there that's met. So if you pass the midterm, you pass the final, then you can say you just about already passed the course. So all I'm saying to you is do your best as you're doing the assignments in this particular course. Do not miss an assignment as a result of not paying attention to the due dates or suspense dates for each assignment. It's required that students in this course receive a grade of C or better to successfully do this course. In other words, if you get a D in this course, you would have to take it over because this is one of the required courses in your program. After you looked at the syllabus, you want to also read the remaining of the information that's in the syllabus to ensure that you fully understand what's in the syllabus. As we take a look at the course outline for Social Work 208, you'll see that to the left there's a date. Those dates are basically the dates that we have class. So the 29th, which was a Tuesday, and the 31st is a Thursday. So you're going to say for each unit, there's a Tuesday class and a Thursday class. It has nothing to do with the suspense date and when assignments are due. And we can take a look at that a little later on when we get into looking at Blackboard and this course in the portal. So you see for Unit 1, basically it's an introduction, a review of the syllabus. I've already talked to you about the writing lab and that you have you have access to submit your draft paper to them for feedback. They will not write your paper. They will not suggest any writing material for your paper. They will only look at your paper in context of meeting the requirements for APA writing style. In the first chapter in this course, let me back up. In this course, Social Work 208, you will be working with chapters 9 through the remaining of the chapters in the book. It's the same book for 205. So you're working in 205 and 208 out of one book. 205 will cover chapters 1 through 8. 208 will cover chapter 9 throughout the end of the book. So for Unit 1 on Thursday, we will have a discussion on Chapter 9, taking a look at gender, gender identity, and gender expression and sexism. So make sure you actually read that chapter for discussion, a healthy and rich discussion during class on Thursday. As we look at Unit 2, you'll see it starts on the 5th of September and ends on Thursday, the 7th of September. And so your assignments for this particular unit is that you will read Chapter 10, looking at the biological aspect of young and middle adult. In other words, what are some of the things biologically that they may experience? Alzheimer's, dementia, diabetes. Those are some of the biological function. Those are things that can be treated somewhat. Also, you have an activity basically that you have to do where you will complete an ethical question, in turn submitted via Blackboard, and we'll talk a little bit about that when we get into Blackboard. Also, you have a suggested discussion board. What is a middle life crisis, and do man and women handle aging the same way? So it's asking you for your feedback regarding this question. In other words, you should always be supporting this with something from the textbook or peer review article. So just remember, you have a discussion board question, which will be due on Thursday, and then your response to your peers should be submitted on Sunday. So as we go through these units, you're going to have a discussion board post that's due on Thursday and a response to your peers, which is due on Sunday. So when this Sunday, when Unit 1's in, you will be coming into Unit 2. So as Unit 1 is closing, Unit 2 should be visible on that Monday for you. As we look at Unit 3 here again, you have Chapter 11 looking at the psychological aspects of young and middle adulthood. Psychological aspects can be mental illnesses that an individual might have, depression. It could be post-traumatic stress disorder. Those are psychological aspects that may have impact on people. So to help you writing your biopsychosocial spirituality assessment, you must have an understanding of these chapters, looking at the biological, the psychological aspect. And then basically when we go into Unit 4, Unit 4 talks a little bit about the sociological aspect of young and middle adulthood. When we think about sociological aspect, we're thinking in terms. Is the member you're looking at interviewing is a member of a sorority or fraternity? Do they attend religious functions, churches? Are they active in their community? Do they volunteer? So you'll see these assignments coming up as you going through each one of these chapters. Also in Unit 4, you're going to complete your biopsychosocial spirituality assessment and submit a rough draft to the writing lab in Gaffney. Now be mindful, if you wait close to the end of this time frame to submit something to the lab, you're not going to get it back in time for feedback. So what I recommend you do is think about who you want to interview and who you want to write on, and basically draft something that you can submit for them to look at. In this class, we're going to also complete a genogram and an echo map. When I get into the Blackboard portal, I will talk a little bit more about the genogram and echo map in detail. But we will also do a discussion around genogram and echo map in the classroom. So when we think about genogram and echo map, we're thinking that a genogram usually consists of 3 generations. In other words, it's your great-grandparents, your grandparents, your parents, and you. That's 3 generations that you're going to be looking at. You can be looking at maternal and paternal aspects of that. What a genogram does is give you an overall layout of the family dynamics. An Equimap basically is a little different. And when we get into the Getting Started page, I will show you where there are examples of that so you can print it out and take a good look at it and then try to apply it to your family. Also in Unit 4, you have a discussion board question that you will be responding to. And then you have your midterm exam, which is also on the 21st. For those of you who are at a different site, you need to email me the name, phone number, contact, and basically who your proctor is. So what I will be doing is emailing your proctor information about your midterm and final exam to include the password to enter into the exam. So your exam, if you're at a different site, will be proctored by someone that's designated to be your proctor or your testing center where your course is located. For those of you who are in live class session, you will be taking your exam with me in the testing area, and I will be signing you on. I will sign on the password so that you can take your exam. So if you're at a different site and a proctor is going to be proctoring your exam, you need to get that information to me as soon as possible so that I can send an email to your proctor on the password when your exam needs to be taken and the criteria for the exam. Unit 5, basically you're going to look at Chapter 13, which looks at sexual orientation. So we'll have a discussion about that. And Unit 5 is also a review of competencies. And each course in your textbook at the end of each chapter or the beginning of the chapter, you should have a list of competencies for that particular chapter. And that's all they're doing there. Unit 6 basically look at Chapter 14, the biological aspects of late adulthood. When you think about late adulthood, you're thinking about loss of vision. In other words, we tend to want to wear glasses or need to wear glasses. You're thinking about the graying of hair. Some people say that you get shorter as you get older, but you don't. In other words, you kind of walk with a slumped over position, which means that you're still the same height, but when you're walking, you're kind of leaning. Some other biological aspects of late adulthood could also be diabetes, depression. Not depression, but diabetes. It could be dementia, Alzheimer's. There again in late adulthood. Unit 7 look at the psychological aspects of late adulthood. So you have the same thing you're looking at with young, middle adult and adulthood. Now you're looking at it in late adulthood. So you're going to see a difference in what occurs from adulthood to late adulthood or middle adulthood. So you're going to see a slight difference. So make sure that you read each one of the chapters. Also in Unit 7, you are going to complete your Biopsychosocial Spirituality Assessment, which is due on the 12th of October, that you're going to be completing this for me to look at and grade. So just be mindful of that. The overall paper is going to be due to me on the 12th of October. In Unit 8, you have your final exam. By then, your proctor should already have your information for your final exam because you have identified to me if you're located at another site who your proctor is, gave me your contact and email address for your proctor. That exam will be proctored. And then you have your reflection paper assignment, which is due on the 19th also. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in detail as we look at Blackboard. Please ensure that you read the rest of the syllabus to ensure that you have a complete understanding of what's required of you in this syllabus. And that exclude this presentation for the syllabus. Should you have any questions in regard to the syllabus after you review it, please write it down, and that way you can present it to me on Thursday night during class, and I can address any questions that you may have at that time.